In fact, you see some suspicious or unusual traces, like the line here, this one here, which cannot be interpreted so easily.
Scientists just found a hidden face inside King Tut's golden mask, and it is causing a total meltdown in the history world. For centuries, this 24-pound masterpiece was the ultimate symbol of a pharaoh, but new Neutron scans show it was likely stolen from a woman. There is a second layer of gold deep inside, and strange inscriptions that were never meant to be seen by human eyes.
Layers and layers and layers of information are coming out, not just because objects are being examined in detail, but also because new technologies can be applied to that.
It is not that simple, though, because the gold alloys do not even match. This is the deal. We are about to reveal why the mask is actually a mystery. Secret under gold. The data from these scans is super detailed, and one of the most overlooked aspects is how the mask was actually built. Basically, the mask is made of several different gold sheets that were soldered together with such skill that the joints are almost invisible to the naked eye. But the neutron beams do not lie. They showed that the face of the boy king was essentially stuck onto a body that was meant for someone else. This is a key detail, because it means the mask was repurposed. It is like a high-tech version of copy and paste, but with solid gold. The purity of the gold in the face is actually higher than the gold in the headdress. This suggests that when the pharaoh died suddenly, his priests had to scramble to find a mask that was worthy of a king. They found one, but it was already being made for a different royal member. The crazy part is that these scans also picked up microscopic carvings hidden in the voids between the gold layers. These are magic spells and protective seals that were never recorded in any book before. They are tucked away where no human was ever supposed to look. Some experts believe these inscriptions were meant to protect the soul of the original owner, not Tut himself. This discovery turns the 1922 find in the Valley of the Kings on its head. Howard Carter might have thought he found a perfect tomb, but he actually found a collection of royal leftovers. The mystery only gets deeper when you look at the ears of the mask. In ancient Egypt, only children or women wore earrings, but this mask clearly had holes for jewelry. It is a weird thing for a grown king to have on his death mask. One of the most interesting things about the Neutron scan is how it handles density. See, gold is very heavy and hard to see through with normal X-rays. But neutron beams can pass through the metal and bounce off the different materials inside. This revealed that the mask was not just hammered into shape. It was carefully assembled using a technique that we still do not fully understand. There are areas where the gold is thinner than a piece of paper, and other areas where it is thick and heavy. The scan showed that the beard of the mask was actually a later addition too. It was attached using a series of hidden pins that were melted into the gold. This is, hands down, one of the most complex pieces of engineering from the ancient world. A lot of people are confused about why this matters so much. But here is the deal. If the mask was recycled, it means the boy king was not as important as we thought during his own time. He was buried with second-hand goods in a tomb that was way too small for a pharaoh. The scans of the mask prove that the priests were working in a massive rush. They were trying to get him into the ground as fast as possible. This has led to a lot of rumors on the air about what was really happening in Egypt 3,000 years ago. Was there a secret power struggle? Was the young king being hidden away? The neutron scans are giving us the first real clues to solving this ancient cold case. One of the most overlooked aspects is the type of gold used. Scientists found that the face of the mask has a higher silver content than the rest of the piece. This is a key detail, because it shows the gold came from two different mines. It is not that simple, though, because the way the metals were mixed suggests a level of chemistry that we did not think the Egyptians had. They were able to change the color and the strength of the gold by adding different amounts of silver and copper. The face was made to look more radiant and godlike, while the headdress was made to be strong and durable. This level of planning is mind-blowing. The hidden face underneath is the real star of the show, though. When you look at the digital reconstruction, it shows a person with a much higher forehead and a different nose shape. It looks like a person who was older and more experienced than King Tut. This ghost face has been trapped in a gold cage for millennia, waiting for a neutron beam to set it free. It is a haunting image that makes you wonder, who was really supposed to be wearing that mask in the afterlife? The scan also showed that the eyebrows and the eye lines were changed to match Tut's features. It is a total royal makeover that was meant to last for eternity. But why would the priests take such a huge risk by recycling a holy mask? The answer might lie in the political chaos of the 18th dynasty. Egypt was coming out of a time of religious war, and the treasury was likely empty. They had to use whatever they could find. This is a key detail that many are not seeing. The truth here is that the mask was not just a piece of art. It was a political tool used to show that the young king was a legitimate ruler, even if they had to fake his burial gear. The scans have exposed a 3,000-year-old lie that was covered in gold. The hidden face is just the start of the secrets waiting inside the gold. Mask mystery solved. So here is the deal. If the mask was not originally made for Tut, then who was it for? A lot of people are confused about this, but many can confirm that the most likely owner was a woman. Specifically, many historians are pointing toward Queen Nefertiti, or perhaps a female ruler named Ankhkheperure. Nefertiti was Tut's stepmother and a very powerful figure who seemed to vanish from the records right before Tut took the throne. The Neutron scans show that the original name on the mask was partially erased and written over with Tut's royal name. It is one of the biggest royal scandals in history. See, the mask has features that are way more feminine, like the soft jawline and those pierced ears we mentioned earlier. This is not just a theory anymore, because the physical evidence of the metal sheets confirms that the face was a late addition. It is not that simple, though, because the timing of Tut's death was a total disaster for Egypt. He was only 18 or 19 years old when his life ended, and the kingdom was in a state of chaos. Because he died so young and so suddenly, there was no time to make a custom gold mask. It takes months or even years to beat gold into such a perfect shape. So, the priests did what they had to do to ensure he made it to the afterlife. They took a mask that was already sitting in the workshop and swapped the face. The new scan shows the stress lines where the metal was hammered and joined. It is messy work if you look at it with a quantum lens, but it worked well enough to fool the world for 100 years. Hands down, this is the most successful recycling project in human history. What most people do not realize is that this repurposing might have happened to more than just the mask. If the mask was a hand-me-down, then what about the rest of the treasures in the tomb? There are hints that the coffins and even the stone sarcophagus were also modified. The scans of the mask are just the tip of the iceberg. Everyone is obsessed with the gold, but the truth is in the tiny details of how it was put together. The inner ghost face has a different isotopic signature, which means the gold came from a different mine than the rest of the piece. This implies that the mask was built over a long period of time using different resources. It is a patchwork of royalty that was never meant to be taken apart. The crazy part is that the scans found traces of a different name under the cartouche. A cartouche is a little oval where the pharaoh's name is written. When scientists looked at the microscopic level, they saw that the original name had more characters than Tutankhamun. This fits the name of the mysterious female pharaoh who ruled right before him. It is like finding a name tag in a shirt that belongs to someone else. This discovery changes the entire history of the 18th dynasty. It shows that there was a powerful queen who was forgotten by history, and her finest treasure was used to bury her successor. It is a story of theft and survival that we are only just beginning to understand. Basically, the priests were playing a dangerous game. They were using the burial gear of a disgraced queen to protect a new king. In ancient Egypt, your burial items were your key to the afterlife. If you did not have the right spells and the right face, you might not make it through the Hall of Judgment. By changing the mask, they were essentially stealing the soul of the queen and giving it to Tut. This is one of the most overlooked aspects of the whole mystery. It was not just a matter of saving money. It was a spiritual heist. The Neutron scans have revealed the evidence of this theft in the form of hidden solder lines and altered hieroglyphs. Many are not seeing the truth here, because the mask looks so perfect from the outside. But when you look at the back of the mask, you can see where the gold plates were joined together. The scans showed that the neckpiece was added much later than the rest of the headdress. This neckpiece contains the long inscription from the Book of the Dead. It is a key detail, because it shows the priests were trying to cover up the modifications with holy text. They wanted to make sure that anyone who looked at the mask would see only a perfect holy object. They succeeded for over 3,000 years, until we pointed a neutron beam at it. The deal is that the mask is a bridge between two different eras of Egypt. It has the style of the old gods and the gold of the new kingdom. It is a masterpiece of deception. The scans also showed that the blue glass in the mask is not all the same. Some of it is high-quality lapis lazuli, and some of it is just colored glass. This is another sign of a rush job. They ran out of the good stuff and had to use whatever they had on hand. It is a fascinating look at the reality of life in the royal court. Even a pharaoh had to deal with supply chain issues and tight deadlines. The hidden queen might be the key to unlocking the true power of the mask. Golden mask secrets. There are still many rumors in the air about how the ancient Egyptians actually worked with this gold. For starters, the soldering on the mask is so precise that even modern jewelers struggle to understand how they did it without advanced tools. The Neutron scans showed that the joints were fused at a molecular level, which is something you usually see with high-heat technology. Some people look at these results and start thinking about wild possibilities. They wonder if the Egyptians had access to knowledge we have lost over time. It is not that we are saying they had lasers, but the level of precision in the layering of the gold sheets is mind-blowing. The mask is not just art. It is a highly engineered object that was designed to last forever. One of the most overlooked aspects of the scan is the presence of cylindrical plugs inside the structure of the mask. These were found in the areas around the neck and the beard. In a normal burial mask, you would just expect to see gold and maybe some resin. But these plugs look almost functional, like they were meant to hold something in place or connect to a larger device. This has led to some crazy talk in conspiracy circles about the mask being more than just a decoration. Some say it looks like a component of a larger machine. While mainstream scientists say these are just internal reinforcements, the scans show they are way more complex than they need to be. The crazy part is that these plugs are made of a different metal alloy altogether, containing trace amounts of silver and copper in a very specific ratio. Basically, we are looking at a 3,000-year-old object that was built with the care of a Swiss watch. The Neutron scans allow us to map every single atom inside the mask, and the results show that the Egyptians were masters of metallurgy. They knew how to thin gold down to a fraction of an inch and still keep it strong enough to hold heavy jewels. The blue lapis lazuli stones were set into the gold using a natural glue that is still holding strong after all this time. But the scans also showed that some of the stones were replaced during the repurposing of the mask. You can see the different tool marks where the old stones were pried out and new ones were pressed in. It was a rush job, but done by the best craftsmen in the world. And get this, the scans revealed that the gold was hammered using a technique called cold working. This involves beating the metal while it is cool to make it harder and stronger. But to do this without cracking the gold takes incredible skill. The mask is made of two main sheets of gold that are about 0.1 inches thick. That is about the thickness of 2 pennies. Imagine hammering 24 pounds of gold into a perfect face that is that thin. It is not that simple though, because the scans show that the gold was annealed, which means it was heated and cooled multiple times to keep it flexible. The level of temperature control they must have had is something we are only just beginning to appreciate. So here is the deal. The mask is not just a pretty face, it is a record of ancient engineering. The scans showed that the ears were not just holes, they were reinforced with extra bands of gold inside the headdress. This was done to make sure the heavy earrings did not tear the gold. This level of foresight is something you see in modern aerospace engineering, where you reinforce stress points. It is a key detail that shows the Egyptians were thinking about the long-term survival of the object. They wanted this mask to last for an eternity, and they used every trick in the book to make it happen. The Neutron scans are like a time machine that lets us watch the craftsmen at work. What most people do not realize is that the mask also contains tiny amounts of mercury. This was found in the areas where the gold sheets are joined. Some researchers think the Egyptians were using a primitive form of fire gilding or mercury soldering. This is a very dangerous process, but it creates a bond that is stronger than the metal itself. If this is true, it means they had a deep understanding of chemical reactions 3,000 years ago. The scans have opened up a whole new field of study into ancient Egyptian chemistry. They were not just building pyramids, they were manipulating the very building blocks of matter. The deal is that the more we scan the mask, the more we realize how little we know. We see the seams, we see the plugs, and we see the different alloys, but we still do not know how they did it in a workshop in the desert. There are no records of these tools or these techniques. It is like they appeared out of nowhere and then vanished. This has led many to believe that the Egyptians were using inherited technology from an even older civilization. The Neutron scans show a level of perfection that is hard to explain with simple copper chisels and stone hammers. It is a mystery that is baked into the very gold of the mask. The ancient secrets of the gold might be hiding a technology we are not ready to understand. Cosmic origin secrets. Everyone is obsessed with the recycling story, but the wild theories are starting to take over the conversation. One of the most insane ideas is that the mask is not just a mask, but a type of ancient interface. Some fringe theorists look at those cylindrical plugs and the layered gold sheets, and they see a circuit board. They argue that the gold and the lapis lazuli are perfect conductors and insulators. They believe the mask was meant to be worn by a pharaoh to communicate with something not from this earth. It is not that simple, though, and because there is no power source found in the tomb. But supporters of this theory say the pyramid itself was the power source, and the mask was the receiver. The crazy part is that the neutron scan showed the gold has a very specific isotopic signature that is extremely rare on Earth. This has led to rumors that the gold might have a cosmic origin. Some say it was mined from a meteorite or brought here by travelers from another star system. While this sounds like science fiction, the data from the scans shows that the trace elements in the gold do not match any known ancient Egyptian mine. There are high levels of iridium and osmium, which are often associated with space rocks. This is a key detail that has sent the ancient astronaut community into a frenzy. They believe the mask was a gift from the gods, who were actually advanced beings from another planet. So here is the deal. If the mask was a device, then what did it do? Some people believe it was a way to preserve the consciousness of the pharaoh. They think the gold layers were designed to act as a storage medium for the king's memories and personality. The scans revealed microscopic patterns in the gold that look like binary code to some observers. They argue that the magic spells are actually a form of ancient software that was meant to be read by a future technology. It is a wild idea, but it explains why the Egyptians were so obsessed with preserving the body and the burial gear. They were trying to achieve a digital version of immortality. And get this, there are theories that the mask was a component of a larger machine used to open a portal to another dimension. This sounds like a movie plot, but some researchers point to the fact that the mask was found in a tomb that was sealed with unusual symbols. They believe the mask was the key to unlocking a hidden chamber of the soul. The neutron scans showed that the internal voids in the mask are perfectly symmetrical, which is very hard to do by hand. They argue that this symmetry is necessary for the mask to function as a resonance chamber. They believe that when certain sounds were played, the mask would vibrate in a way that would thin the veil between worlds. One of the most overlooked aspects of these wild theories is the connection to the star Sirius. The Egyptians were obsessed with this star, and some believe the mask was designed to track its movement. They argue that the blue glass and the gold patterns on the headdress are a map of the night sky. The scans showed that the layout of the jewels is not random. They are aligned with certain constellations as they would have appeared 3,000 years ago. This has led to the idea that the mask was a navigational tool for a soul traveling through the stars. It was a cosmic GPS for the afterlife. It is not that simple, though, because the curse of the pharaoh is often linked to these high-tech theories. Some believe the curse is actually an ancient security system. They argue that the mask emits a frequency that affects the human brain and causes hallucinations or illness. The neutron scans did pick up some strange magnetic anomalies around the mask that were hard to explain. This has led to the idea that the mask is still active on some level. It is a spooky thought that an object 3,000 years old could still have a functional component, but in the world of wild theories, nothing is off the table. Basically, we are looking at an object that defies every category we try to put it in. Is it art? Is it a coffin? Is it a piece of ancient tech? The neutron scans have given us a look under the hood, but the engine is still a mystery. Some even suggest that the mask is a relic from an older African civilization, that was much more advanced than the Egypt we know. They believe the Egyptians found the mask and repurposed it for their own king. This would explain why the face was swapped. They were trying to make a legendary object their own. It is a story of lost knowledge and ancient echoes that we are only just beginning to hear. What most people do not realize is that the mask might contain a hidden message in a language we have not yet decoded. The scans showed that the microscopic carvings are much more complex than standard hieroglyphs. Some think it is a form of mathematical language that describes the nature of the universe. They believe the mask is a time capsule from a civilization that knew the world was ending and wanted to leave a record of their existence. If we can ever decode those marks, we might find a history of the world that is completely different from the one we know. The golden face of King Tut is still keeping its best secrets for itself. The deal is that the more we look at the mask, the more it feels like we are looking at something from another world. The perfection of the gold, the complexity of the hidden layers, and the mystery of the ghost face all point to a story that is much bigger than one young king. Whether it is a recycled treasure or an ancient device, the mask is a silent witness to a time of wonder and terror. As we continue to scan and study this masterpiece, we have to be prepared for the truth to be stranger than anything we can imagine. The mask of King Tut is the ultimate puzzle, and we are just now finding the first pieces. What if the most famous face in history belongs to a person we have never even heard of? If this mask was recycled, what other treasures are hiding a secret identity? Let us know what you think in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe for more ancient mysteries.